So the clip you just saw was actually a piece of static footage where I just had my camera set up on a tripod and it was just me while it was snowing outside. And I used the magnetic mask to create kind of that Dolly Zoom effect. So in this tutorial, we're going to recreate that and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I made that happen. So let's get into it. All right, so we have our clip on the timeline. It's just a static clip of me sitting in the snow. As you can see, no camera movement, just your typical tripod shot. So the first thing we're going to do is, I like to duplicate this clip. Then I set that clip to the side. We'll be using that in a second. So this first clip, what we're gonna do is go to this drop down here that has the wand. You're gonna add a magnetic mask to that first clip. And you just go to some point in the clip, use your dropper, and you will select your main subject. And you kind of play around with it because the AI within the magnetic mask is gonna sometimes select areas to mask out that you don't want. So sometimes you have to go through and do a little cleanup. So I'm gonna clean up this bottom area so that it doesn't include this little chunk of snow in the mask. Oh, excuse me, that's add. You don't wanna do that, that makes the mask bigger. You actually wanna go to subtract so you can clean up some areas. So I'm gonna clean this bottom area up. It's acting a little funky. Hold on. Let's reset this. Let's try this one more time. Okay. So we're gonna add this in. Remove this bottom area. There we go. A lot cleaner. Then you want to kind of analyze your subject, make sure nothing's getting chopped off that you want to be included in the mask. So I'm going to go up here and add the collars in. And the collars are included, but it added this whole area around the collars that I don't need. So I'm gonna remove that as well. There we go. It's a lot tighter, a lot cleaner. And it's looking pretty good now. So now that we have our subject accounted for, we're gonna hit analyze. And that's going to analyze the subject. Once it's analyzed and the AI has done its thing, you're going to hit done. And there you have it. It's masked out your subject in a few seconds. Sometimes you want to play around with the feather. Make it tighter so that there's not like this kind of gray halo around your, see, like if you increase the feather, you've got this halo around it. So I always like to tighten that up. And I think that's looking pretty good. Next, we can actually, the clip I duplicated, we can delete that because we can just go ahead and duplicate the clip that I just masked. So we'll duplicate the clip that I just masked, paste it here. And what you want to do with this clip is invert the mask. And so now you have two versions of the mask. The mask with your subject and then the mask that's inverted. And this will act as the background. So you've essentially separated your scene. You've got your subject and then you've got the background separated. But there's one problem. We've got this giant gaping hole where I used to be in the background scene. So how we're going to remedy that is we're going to copy this clip one more time, paste it, And this time we're going to remove the masking effect. So we're going to go up here and uncheck the masking effect. This is our original clip. And what I like to do is go up top to export, and I'm going to save a single frame from this clip. So essentially I'm going to export an image of this clip, and we're going to do something with that in just a second. It'll make more sense in just a second. So I'm going to hit save current frame. I'm just going to say Dolly Zoom still. I'm going to save it to my hard drive. Okay, we're going to go to my hard drive. It's saved right here. Here it is. So next what we're going to do is I'm going to open up Google Chrome, and I'm going to go to Adobe Firefly. I'm going to upload that still that I just exported. And I'm going to start to remove myself from this still. Get every area where I was in the scene. Then I'm going to go to remove over on the left, and then hit the remove button. And I'm going to let the AI do its thing and start to remove me from the scene, and it'll fill in all the areas where I was. And you want the one that, matches up best to, your original scene. So I'm going to keep this. There's a couple of spots here I want to clean up, so I'm going to remove those. All right, perfect. It looks good now. So I'm going to download that to my computer. Okay. Bring that into my hard drive. Okay, and now I'm going to bring that downloaded image back into Final Cut Pro. Okay, so I'm going to delete the second duplication. I'm going to delete the second duplication, which is just the original clip that I removed the mask from. We don't need that anymore. That was just kind of a reference to be able to export the still. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to take this image and put it below the second mask, the one where we inverted the mask. I'm going to put this image directly below that, and I'm going to drag that the length of the scene, the same length of the scene. And as you can see right now, it looks weird. Like there's an obvious outline of where I used to be, and it just looks like garbage. So from this point on, what you want to do is start to play around with the second invert to make it match the background. So I'm going to click on the second inverted scene, the inverted mask scene, and I'm going to start to play around with the feather, bringing it the opposite direction. And as you can see, it's starting to blend a little more, which did a little better, but you can still kind of see the outline. So what I'm going to do next is go to the Firefly image that's underneath this clip. Click on that. Go to the color adjustments and start to lighten this clip a little bit. You've kind of got to play around with it by feel. So just by reducing the black point, you can basically see it's essentially eliminated these outlines. And these two clips, the image and the clip have basically merged together. I mean, it looks pretty seamless at this point. Let me not get too cute. I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. So next, what I'm going to do is take the image and the inverted mask clip, select both of those, and I'm gonna make a new compound clip. So basically our background is set at this point. And the reason this works is because the area of this clip where it's just pure image and not actually video, so there's going to be a portion of this where you don't see any snow falling. But the reason that works is because I'm going to stack myself back over this clip, so I'll be blocking that area. So to most people's eyes, you won't be able to notice that there's essentially a dead spot on the screen where there's no live action happening. So you kind of have to judge the clip you're using on whether or not you can get away with this trick or not. Like if there's a lot of things going on and camera movements and a lot of different factors, this trick may not be the best technique, but once again, this is a static clip, so you can kind of cut corners a little bit and get away with this a little more. So now that we've got the background sorted, what I'm gonna do next is take the clip of myself, the original clip that I masked myself out, stack that back over the background. And here you have myself back in the snow, fully separated from the background. So now we have essentially two clips to work with. And the next thing we're gonna do is I'm going to take the clip of myself and go to the crop tool, and then I'm gonna go to Ken Burns, and we're gonna start from the wide static shot, and gradually we're going to zoom in to where basically all you see is my back sitting in the chair. So, the clip starts out and then it finishes being pretty zoomed in on my back. Next, we're going to do the opposite thing with the background. So to start with and that's also why we compounded the image and the inverted mask. We compounded those clips so that we can then use the crop tool, because if they were separated, it would be kind of disjointed and look crazy. So you have to combine those clips to be able to have that smooth zoom effect. So next we're going to add the Ken Burns effect to the background, except we're going to do the opposite thing. So we're going to go to crop, Ken Burns, and we're going to start tight and then eventually pan out wider to a wider shot of the background. Something like this. And that'll leave you with this effect. That's pretty cool. One thing I will say, you may want to slightly crop your subject because sometimes the bottom can get cut off. So like on this subject, I'm gonna scale it a little bit so that the legs are, fully tucked out of the scene, so you're not seeing that cut off. And we'll play it again. And that's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. Now from here on out, it's all about aesthetics. Like this is the log footage. This is the log footage, so it hasn't been color graded. So the next thing we want to do is color grade this to just bring this to life. So I'm going to add in an adjustment layer. Add the Rec 709 LUT. And I like to use, I mean, you can use whatever LUTs you want to bring into your Final Cut Pro. It's whatever your preference is. I use this Rec 709 LUT that has a built-in -2 contrast. I always feel that always works good for Fujifilm footage, which is what I use. So I'm gonna bring this in just to kind of start to get a little bit of color correction. Then I'm going to bring it in another LUT, which is a custom LUT that I got from, I believe, Tropic Color. No, Cinegrams. These are from Cinegrams. And I always like to use this rich umber, I think is what it's called. And I add that in, and that usually makes the colors pop, but sometimes I'll reduce that down to like 40% or so, just to kind of give it a little more rich feel. Then it's all about personal preference at this point. Then I like to come in, do a little manual color adjustment. So like boost the exposure up, play around with the brightness and the highlights, the black point, the shadows, you know, just to start to get it looking how you want it to look, close to that final product. And then I bring in one more LUT, and these were from Artlist. So I made a folder of Artlist LUTs, and I like to use where is it? Is it Ostrich? I like to use this LUT a lot, Ostrich. It looks pretty cool. Kind of gives it that moody look. And sometimes it can be a little strong, so you have to play around with the intensity of the LUT. But I also like electronic too. I'm thinking electronic may look better for this, but yeah, you kind of get it to a point to how you want that final product to look, and then play it back. And that's looking pretty cool. Now the thing that I added to the version that I had put on my social media and threads, the one that kind of popped off and had everyone asking for a tutorial, I also added one other touch. So I added a cinematic kind of title. I believe it was this one at the end. Just to give it a little more, you know, serious appeal. So yeah, this was the title I used. And then you kind of play around with this, added my name. Center that, and then named it Winter. And then, yeah, so play it back full screen. and you got something like that. You know, it looks pretty cool and dramatic, you know, like you're about to watch a HBO drama or you know, some type of interesting documentary or something like that. So that's pretty much the gist of it. You can play around with it, tweak it, do different things, but this gives you a good starting point of how to turn a static clip into something that's more visually appealing, something that has some camera movement to it, something that you can do as a solo shooter. Like, you know, when you're filming by yourself, sometimes it's kind of hard to get some of those creative camera movements. So this is just a cool way to do that in post while you're editing, that you can add to your toolkit. And you know, this kind of gives you a game plan on how to make it even better. I mean, if you all try this, tag me and let me know, and I'd be interested to see how you all progress this technique, or maybe a way to make this technique even better. If you know an even better way to remove subjects from the videos that doesn't involve using a image as that bottom foundational layer, let me know that as well. I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it was beneficial in some way. I'm going to definitely start doing more tutorials. I enjoy doing these. They're always fun, and I love playing around. I love playing around with Final Cut Pro and finding out different ways to do things. I enjoy editing just as much as filming. So yeah, if you all enjoyed that, make sure to subscribe to the channel, share the video, like the video. Stay tuned. I'll be back with even more good content. You all have a good day. Talk to you later.